Today we're gonna do a test. It's a legit test to see if you're racist.
Every day, son. Every day, Nat.
Almost said, what a fucking... I hope I have zero racism. What a fucking... Man! I think I do.
110 million followers. What do y'all know about Pewdiepie? What do y'all know about Pewdiepie?
How's it going, man? My name's
Pewdiepie back in the day was a version of a commentary creator. You could call it, that divulged like a whole bunch of different type of topics into one platform. You know what I mean? He popularized a certain form of commentary that like kind of interchangeably interlinked like Minecraft, like a lot of like gaming stuff and all that into a version of commentary.
Why don't you just fly like a normal fucking bird?
His biggest, I guess, contribution to this form in a YouTube soft power was a meme review.
Ben Shapiro, do we have time for both?
So Pewdiepie asked me to review some memes. A picture of me next to a sign that says left lane must turn left, smiling, and then a picture of me as apparently some sort of alien shooting lasers from my eyes, and it says left. But I agree. I live to create leftist tears. I have a mug with that on it, leftist tears.
I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people have aged terribly. Like, I think...
Will Elon Musk host meme review? Gosh darn, it would make my life.
Hey, welcome to Meme Review with your host, me, Justin Roiland, and Elon Musk.
Yeah, welcome. Hi, Felix.
Wallahi, you're finished. Wallahi, you're finished.
First of all, when we're talking about Pewdiepie, we gotta talk about his soft power. Because Pewdiepie was not just Pewdiepie, you know, Pewdiepie was the persona that Pewdiepie built on that platform. Honestly, that's very impressive for an independent creative. But when you consider the ethos in which he curated his positions on, you'll be like, out of all the OG YouTubers, Jacksepticeye the only one from my childhood that didn't disappoint. Yeah, there's not really... What the hell is the profile picture supposed to be?
This shit is opium.
To be honest, I'm not sure. Thank you, questioning especially. It's nice to see you here too. Let's get into this rabbit hole. What is a neo-Nazi, guys? Do y'all know the definition of a neo-Nazi? Like, bad answers are allowed. Bad answers are allowed here. So, have you ever seen Cat Black's Pewdiepie video and unfortunately gets struck down? Yeah, I've seen that one. It's a good one. I think Dan, TDM, and Markiplier also age really well. Yeah. But what is a neo-Nazi, chat? A new Nazi. A new Nazi. Yes. A new Nazi. You're on the right track. You're on the right track. But the thing is, the term of like Nazi ideology has changed and differed over time. You know what I'm saying? We live in a postmodern context where we are very much living in an age of white nationalism, right? There's ICE agents, Donald Trump, active genocide in Palestine, Sudan, the Congo, and a European government trying to restrict immigration to kill people that are fleeing from those areas. You know what I'm saying? And what's being essentially put at the forefront is the ideations of white society. You know what I mean? That's what all these immigrations, I guess, clauses are leading to. In Canada, we specifically have this immigration clause, this really new immigration clause. Well, not new because it activates all the time whenever we're in like these sort of world conflicts, but a clause against places like Sudan that's restricting immigration from the Philippines, from the Congo, from like a lot of South America, and instead a lot of this money is being funneled into, you know, white fleeing families, white fleeing refugees like Ukrainians, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world. But when you look at its implications, that's more so what I'm talking about, the implications of, oh, we need more white people on this land, right? In Canada, a third of immigrants are white already. But the immigrants that are highlighted, who are the immigrants that are highlighted, right? And this is where we get into the relation to spectacle and the audience. If y'all don't know what spectacle is basically the idea of a common like scene perspective from an audience relating to an image, right? If I put up a picture of the Pepe image, you know the context of that meme. If I put up a picture of that troll face image, you know the context of that troll face. You know what I'm saying? We all have a context to this spectacle. And the spectacle of immigration, for the longest time, has been linked to, I guess, ideations of white society. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I mean when we live in a global stage of like late stage capitalism. So the word neo-Nazi, it may be a scary big word to y'all, but the word neo-Nazi has a lot of applications in context to our modern day time in an academic sense. Like, scholars will tell you this, people with PhDs will tell you this. Don't let anybody online like tell you you're wrong for trying to critique this. But let me read through the comments real quick. Someone said the profile picture is a mix between a design he was obsessed with on his merch and a character from Devilman Crybaby. Devilman Crybaby, oh my god. And they picked a mid-ass anime. They picked a mid-anime. On top of that, they picked a mid-anime. Nazi romances, yeah. Is there a way to contact or email you? I'm really curious. And yes, my email address is always open. Anyone who will clap back to it. I just think it's random how he went from being a random gamer to one of the most famous influencers on the planet who happens to have connections to Elon Musk. Yep, we're going to get to that. Neo-Nazis are folk who currently subscribe to the ideologies of hyper-national fascism. Yep. If that's big, y'all need help. Yeah. I feel like I explained that pretty well. Like, it's a pretty easy concept to grasp, especially since we live in the context of it. You know what I'm saying? You see the protests outside. You see you see Donald Trump stoking like certain anti-immigrant propaganda against certain groups of people. The memes that we see on our Instagram timeline, a lot of them are referring to a degradation of Indian people. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of that. All of that, if you don't think that's connected, I don't know what to like. Politics doesn't live in a social vacuum. We all don't live in a social vacuum. We live in a constant conversation with ourselves and the spectacle, right? We live in a constant conversation of that, of ingrained sentiments towards it. That might be felt communally, that might be felt nationally, that might be felt subjectively with you and your friends, with certain slang terms, with certain, you know what I'm saying? Like this is just common knowledge. But now we get into the meat of it. So a YouTuber compared to the German Nazi party is like kind of wild, right? But I need y'all to like know the word Nazi at this point. It's such a political buzzword. Half the people that use it don't know what it entails. Like Nazism was a political reality made in Germany while it was trying to become a global power in an age where it was prohibited from occupying the same means of power as Britain, France, and much of the rest of the big European powers. You know what I'm saying? So Hitler and the Nazi party stoked white nationalism by pointing out at least people were occupying the Rhineland, right? There's this place called the Rhineland, and Germany was basically blamed for World War I, right? And put a whole bunch of all these clauses on them. One of the biggest clauses was they couldn't use the Rhineland, which was important to Germany's infrastructure and industry at the time. You know what I'm saying? So that Rhineland being occupied by France, and then France sending Senegalese soldiers over there, contributed to a stark dichotomy of racism, right? Those soldiers, most of them weren't even Senegalese, to be honest, but those black soldiers from like African colonies of France were basically wielded by Hitler to say, see, look, it's the evil black person. They're assaulting our children, they're assaulting our women, they're doing X, and X, they're taking all our money. You know what I'm saying? So what they were sent by France. And people forget that like anti-blackness historically has been wielded in order to gain favor in a majority population that caters to white little crying boys. And this is where I'm getting to. The reason why nationalism seems to take form again and again in society is because our ideas of nationalistic identity is flawed. Like what do you hear when you say America? Do you see the big eagle? What do you hear when we say America?
I have a dream.
Thank you for the follows, guys. Thank you for the follows from Agatheo. If y'all want to follow me on that Twitch and everything, boost up my Twitch follows. Y'all need to help me with that. But yeah, nice to see. Thank you for following. And we got 85 people in here. It's nice to see you in here. It's nice to see everybody in here. All right. I'm gonna pull up like an archive right now so I could just show y'all a little bit of evidence, because I could read all I want, but you know what I'm saying? Like showing. To see is to believe. To see is to believe. So this is where it comes from, right? As this week's document shows, General Allen reported back on July 2nd, 1920, that discipline among the French colonial troops were generally good, though hardly of the same order that we would require. However, the discipline amongst these troops was not always good. The only evidence he could provide for this claim was stories that had been reported that English troops in the Marcellus, hundreds of how far away is the Marcellus from France? Marcellus from France. I gotta see that. And I spelled it wrong, but whatever. France. So this far away, somehow, right? That far away, somehow black people are bothering from that far away, right? Nevertheless, that had been indeed some rapes according to Allen, but that actual number was overblown, he wrote. It is unconsequently a fact that many gross exaggerations were circulated in the German press concerning the conduct of French colonial troops. The allegations in the German press have been, for the most part, so indefinite as to time and place and circumstance, and to leave it impracticable to verify the alleged facts or to disprove them, right? So we're going down the timeline of PewDiePie, and this is white nationalism taking place, right? All the way back in Nazi Germany and all that. This is how they stoked all that shit before Hitler. This was right before Hitler, you know what I'm saying? And this provided like a fertile ground, or I guess a soil, to lay seeds of like white nationalism, basically. But we don't have newspapers anymore. We have phones and cell service and friends, you know, hopefully. I hope y'all have some friends. Shit, I hope y'all have some friends.
I have a dream.
93 people, by the way. Electric guitar mandatory. Thank you for Old Grease for hopping in, Florian. I'm seeing some names that I saw from last stream too, which is cool. This is so cool. This is so cool. But yeah. So this happened in America and Canada too. This kind of I guess stoking of white nationalism. However, racism in this way of straight up calling black people the N-word, you know what I'm saying, has been somewhat patched on the internet. It's a patched method. It's patched. It's not that popular, you know. I remember the sudden shift when the idea of saying like the N-word and defaming celebrities for it took place. You know what I'm saying? When everybody was like going back and like, oh, this celebrity has this N-word tweet. This celebrity... Why I burp twice? Why I burp twice? But they go back, they're like, oh, this celebrity has the N-word tweet. This celebrity's had the N-word tweet. You know what I'm saying? That was an age. That was an age that we had to come to as a society. And anti-blackness was but historically, since anti-blackness is a popular avenue for white nationalism to find comfort, black soldiers, you know, were killed, mass murdered, and communities burnt down like Teslas and laws, all created because of this fear of black replacement, right? And this was with the KKK. This is where the KKK comes in. This is where the KKK comes in the conversation of white nationalism, right? And what a neo-Nazi is. So the KKK has gone through 3 major reformations, and the first one was after Confederacy was dissolved. Anti-blackness... In the 1920, anti-blackness and America was met... I'm sorry, I started on that. In the big 1920, America was met with like a big wave of immigration. You know what I'm saying? And at this time, it was widely popular to be against like the institution of Catholicism because, you know, these immigrants were coming from Europe. It was a good way to tell if they were Irish, French, Canadian, or just not pure-blooded American. You know what I'm saying? And this fear literally led millions of like white Americans across the country to join these branches. They co-opted phrases of community and used them to pander to other white people in like their circle. You know what I'm saying? And essentially this means of white relation became the first wave of the KKK. But it imploded though because the leaders were like mostly money hungry and weird. I'm gonna read a little excerpt. So I don't lead y'all around wrong path because like I love recalling things from memory, but I love recalling things from memory, but sometimes you need to see it. Because not everybody reads. Some people use ChatGPT. This is a very new society we in. Yeah, but here, the Klan also opposed and disparaged Jews, painting them alternatively as predatory capitalists and dangerous radicals. But its main focus was against America's rising Catholic population. Catholic immigrants from Ireland, Italy, Eastern Europe, French Canada, and Southern Germany had poured into the country by the millions in the previous decades, competing with native-born American workers for jobs and driving down wages. Worst for the Klan was that those immigrants voted, particularly in the big cities where they supposedly supported crooked political machines. This is also where we get the soft power of like liberal states, blue states, red states, Most prominently, New York City's notoriously corrupt Tammany Hall. The Klan also associated immigrants with drunkenness and saloons, as well as being un-American because of their languages, foods, and customs, right? And this is how they imploded. They imploded because a man literally like raped a white, saying a leader of that. And a lot of these leaders were caught just in sex rings, prostitution rings, just in some weird shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't really, you shouldn't really trust someone from the KKK. Like that's really, it's just a saying. It's just a saying, right? By the way, it's nice to see y'all here. 111 people. Wow. 111 people are coming in. It's a lot of people. It's quite the headbanger. Unfortunately, he still aligns himself with those stuff what Exposes said was his favorite author, for real. At least he hasn't changed. But then the World War II happened. You know what I'm saying? The World War II happened and the neo-Nazis came up. America had to fight the Nazis. The Nazis came up. And America had to fight the Nazis. Da, 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 da. They didn't really. We know they joined because Japan bombed the harbor, but this is the political reality that Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all them try to spin. You know what I'm saying? Like they not them themselves, but I digress. After World War II, the promise of rights for like black citizens who helped America like win the war stoked another wave of like white nationalism, but this time including Catholic principles, because Irish and Italian people were now seen as like a normal white class. You know what I'm saying? Whiteness was now in a national identity and based more so on skin color rather than like a communal relation. You know what I'm saying? Also, Senghili's troops helped liberate France. Senghili's troops helped liberate France after they helped stoke, and this is after France and German newspapers stoked the rise of like Hitler himself. And then the media photographers tried to get the Senghilese people out of the photo in a display of spectacle for the West. You know what I'm saying? Even World War II, and the way we talk about it, and the way images are shown, the way you don't see black soldiers, the way we don't talk about how, you know, those black soldiers from African colonies were conscripted with a promise of money, a promise of land, a promise of all these things, but instead they were just killed. You know what I'm saying? Like instead they were just killed. Why? Rather at war or at home? Because when they got home, the French started bombing Senghilese, They started bombing Senghilese like army camps and everything that helped contribute to the war, that actually like helped beat the Nazis and helped drive the Nazis out of France. You know what I'm saying? And this is what we're getting into. The Germans used the image of black people in order to relate to like their white citizens, right? Grievances felt, there are very real grievances felt though in like extractive colonial states. You know what I'm saying? Like we both live in extractive colonial states right now. Like what's Canada doing to the world? What's America doing to the world, right? Like we understand, like even when we're in the belly of the beast, like you could be a low-class citizen at the end of the day if you don't got a band. You know what I'm saying? Like look at how we treat homeless people, look at how we treat certain types of people in our own society. And I'm pulling this back to the spectacle, like the relation between the image and the person. You know what I'm saying? The image and the person. So the caveat of a black person occupying the industrial power of Germany, even though it wasn't any African country, connected that fear of black people through fabrications of like sexual assault and all that, right? Much like Israel does with Palestine, funnily enough. But like now let's talk about the way in which that degrading spectacle is kind of like normalized. You know what I'm saying? Because we're far away from Nazi Germany, but we're not that far away from the era of the KKK or the white nationalist sentiments. There's still active chapters in the United States. And yesterday at the point of this recording, a black man was literally found hanging from a tree in New York. You know, ICE is very much still alive on attacking like third spaces for like fucking quinceañeras, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking school, like elementaries, like, you know what I mean? When really it's just like billionaires taking all the government funding for like their rockets that like don't work. You know what I'm saying? Are we on Mars? No, but we all hungry. You know what I'm saying? That $1 billion could go a long way. That $1 billion could go a long way. I'm not racist. My employee is black. Don't kill me. It's nice to see all y'all here. We got 123 people though. I don't know. His editor is black. I wonder if he... Oh my God. I wonder how PewDiePie's black editor felt working for him, knowing all his controversies and what he shown himself to align with. Yeah, I don't know. But when you're in those spaces too, as you know, as someone who's also had to edit for like really big names, when you're in those spaces and you come from a background where you low-key just need that money, I'm not really hating, honestly, because it's not really as much as those editors' faults, but like the systems that be and the spectacle that allows for white nationalism to take place, like the people who pump out that art that's harmful. You know what I'm saying? Like Elon Musk is actually the perfect example, and Elon Musk is a pivotal age of like this new age of nationalism. You know what I mean? He's literally a part of Trump's department, right? Not anymore, but he was part of Trump's department and made like a lot of changes across. He cut Medicaid across the world, and that led to 500,000 Sudanese babies dying. You know what I mean? That Medicaid cut led to a whole bunch of people in South America not being able to afford like a lot of their essential goods. And Medicaid and all these structures that are in place, they're in place because the US destabilizes these regions, so they have to pay a toll back. You know what I'm saying? So it is a little weird. It is a little weird when you're like, I'm going to these places, I'm setting up extractive work, I'm setting up coal companies, I'm setting up mining companies, I'm doing all this. I'm making the people work until they literally die from the age of like literally 5 years old all the way till 16, not giving them a single cent. And we're also not giving them any health benefits or anything else. That just, if y'all know the history of slavery in the Congo with King Leopold, well, all the 3 different Leopolds, but King Leopold II was the worst one, where he literally made it into a city-state and encompassed all those people in a bastion of slavery, you know what I'm saying? The mass depopulation of the Congo actually affected the world. Like the mass depopulation of the Congo before, sorry, I'm going on a tangent right now. I'm going on a tangent, but y'all gotta let me. Before colonialism, a lot of African countries weren't coastal. But colonialism made all these African countries, you see like Lagos, like cities on the port in Senegal, cities on the port in South Africa, cities on the port in, and then made these countries into port states, you know what I'm saying? Whereas originally, countries in Africa would be centralized basically in the middle of Africa and connected to river systems. And the Congo was like that too. The Congo was like that. The Kingdom of the Congo originally, that's what it was called, right? But I'm ranting too much. One of the most horrifying genocides, surprising amount of white supremacists who aren't white themselves. All right. So the sentiments that were used in Nazi Germany against black soldiers low-key mimics like Trump's sentiments between like Obama, in the same way those French soldiers were politically used in order to wield soft power with white Americans. You know what I'm saying? Whenever Trump attacks Obama time and time again, you know he's alluding to like just an era of racism. You know what I'm saying? But that was a long, okay, 2010. What do y'all remember about this era of YouTube? H3, Pewdiepie, and iDubbbz are kind of my central focus here, but I needed to give y'all all that context before I delved into this, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember there being a whole interconnected community of content creators, and Pewdiepie was just like the biggest one, you know what I'm saying? There was Pyrocynical, there was shit, who else was there? There was Pyrocynical, there was I Am Alex, there was Filthy Frank, there was that commentary era was big. Like that commentary era was big. I remember them getting millions and millions, seeing them getting houses. Like damn. But the spectacle changing over time from newspapers to phones to the internet, like changed our modern form of relation to news in a very drastic way, you know what I'm saying? Like the introduction of memes was major. Like we've always had cartoon political work in newspapers and stuff, but the introductions of memes in a normative setting, in a normative context, in a way that was relayed to a youthful generation, you know what I'm saying? That was a very, 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 very ingenuitive and new thing. And you know, 4chan, Reddit, Facebook, and YouTube were like the Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok of that generation. Because basically all your short form videos, they were not around. They were just like images, and you were supposed to come to your own conclusions based on like some type of meme. Like, fuck, I gotta show y'all. I'm a little old because I remember this era. Like in depth. But if y'all don't know what a meme is, people like this, and then they just put like stock footage here, like insert whatever here. Like when immigrants enter the country and then it's just a baby shaking their fist or something, you know what I'm saying? There was a spider, top text, down text. Like it's just big top text, down text. But basically what these memes did and what these images did was give us a new form of conversation online, right? It created a new internet language, and memes and public spectacle just weren't always inherently racist. So let me not say that. But this is where we get into a bit of a doozy.
One platform.
Because I want to talk about how 4chan kind of co-opted the language of memes and turned it into a degrading spectacle.
Day. In 2004.
And this was through the usage of third spaces with like boys, like games, like like commentary sites, like Reddit pages, like 4chan. 4chan was a really big one. We're about to go into that right now. About to play this video.
The following video today is what you didn't see coming was that there was going to be a shift in American politics, where the right wing, with the help of the internet, relabeled themselves as the fighters to protect free speech. I think a great first step in understanding this shift would be good old Gamergate in 2014. Depending on who you ask, this hashtag was either about the organized harassment of women in gaming, or the calling out of unethical and biased game journalists that were pushing a left-wing agenda. We can get into the specifics of this controversy another day, but what you need to know is it stirred up anger in young male gamers, who felt they were being attacked by these publications that were supposed to be for them. This would be a lot of young people's first foray into politics, and it did not paint the left wing in a very positive light for most of them. Before Gamergate, 4chan was fairly apolitical in a way. Sure, they would go after their targets, but oftentimes they would simply go after whoever they felt would lead to the most entertainment. But Gamergate in some ways changed that. Now there was a visible resentment to journalists, who they felt were pushing an agenda rather than reporting on facts. And they weren't necessarily right-wing at that point. But as the saying goes, my enemy's enemy is...
And I kind of want to talk about this too, this radicalization and this normalization of third spaces, I guess you could say, online with the internet and everything. I really like this guy's content and everything. This is my side channel though, I'm not subscribed. Let me click that. Boom. You get one more subscriber. Congratulations. But when we're talking about third spaces, specifically for boys, and the way boys are kind of taught ideations or performances of masculinity, because masculinity is inherently a performance, right? Gamer from Mars is honestly the true radical centrist. Some of the takes I'm like, but I like him. I got into that algorithm right after Gamergate. It's really interesting because I feel like you had to be there to really understand what happened. Yeah. So the internet was in a new wave of like, I guess, online interaction. You know what I'm saying? Like all the way back when those chat rooms of all the way back when kind of leached their ways into a lot of these spaces. And a lot of the spaces, you know, people on the internet or young men hang out are spaces of relation, like Reddit pages, 4chan pages, Gamergate pages, like things like that. You know what I'm saying? So inherently you had a very common method of relation between people, which was masculinity. You know what I'm saying? And wielded in that was kind of a promise or a degradation of femininity too. And we'll see this in like the Andrew Tate era with him putting on Bonnie Blue and him putting on like all these people and then degrading women by proxy of Bonnie Blue and a lot of those other people. But in this era of Gamergate, it was really pushed by content, by content creators. And one of the biggest people of this was Pewdiepie and the meme review. We're about to hop into that. People talking in the chat though, probably not Susan. All I can remember at that time is how hard they tried to make Anita Sarkeesian the fuck. Yeah. All because she was just a woman online making games. Like, I swear. It was weird. It was very weird. But so now we get to the Gamergate meme era, right? The blue hair leftist era, which basically like formed into like the anti-woke era afterwards. Like these commentary creators curated like a third space, which allowed them to like make fun of people online based on like blue hair leftism. And that spectacle, you know, related to an audience, became a solidified thing. Like Ben Shapiro dunks on X, you know what I mean? Which is just code word, I guess, in the woke, in the anti-woke era. It would just be a caveat code word for like just discrimination against trans people and not like it. But PewDiePie loved a lot of these people that stoked those sentiments, you know what I'm saying? Ben Shapiro was one of those SJW dunks on dude. And a number of other people also came to the forefront to you know, stoke Ben Shapiro and uplift him in the algorithm, I guess. But one of the biggest aspects of this was when PewDiePie invited Ben Shapiro meme review. We need to see that one. PewDiePie Ben Shapiro meme review. It's nice to see everyone in the chat, by the way. It says we got 120 people across platforms. This is the most people I've ever had on a live, which is wild. This is only my second consistent live. This is cool. Alex Jones too and Jordan Peterson just counting. Yeah, the power. Yeah. Okay, we skipping this ad.
PewDiePie is in great danger. He needs your help to wipe out T-Series from YouTube once and for all. We must not let T-Series reach 69 million.
See, this guy was like one of the popular dudes that like YouTubers and like content creators paid to like make cameos and stuff. And PewDiePie wielded that to his advantage. PewDiePie wielded the soft power of this meme era heavily to his advantage.
What a bunch of legends. I'm proud of you. These kids can clearly say they are doing their part. Now can you say you are doing yours? So wait a minute. Go back on the footage. Let's do a 6-4 cross reference.
You see what I mean? Like a lot of these videos was just fun commentary. But that's where the Trojan horse of white supremacy is packaged. You know what I mean? In an aspect of normalcy that is relatable to people. Like think about your family members and how they have like ingrained sentiments of maybe transphobia, of anti-black racism, of things like that. That's where the degradation is strongest, where it's normalized. You know what I'm saying? And Ben Shapiro, after being mentioned like in 20 different meme reviews, decides to come on.
So PewDiePie asked me to review some memes. Memes are this thing where people put funny stuff on my phone. Here is one of these memes. Let's take a look.
Ben, where are we at?
Fortnite.
Okay, so that meme was actually taken from a tape of me at the Dallas airport by my producer, Jonathan Hay, and then
I forgot that I was muted. But I was saying this guy has a death toll of Ben Shapiro has directly donated to the IDF. You know what I mean? And the IDF right now are proliferating a genocide against Palestinians and keeping them in like an open air prison and a purposeful famine right now. You know what I'm saying? And Ben Shapiro stoked a lot of those ideologies and beliefs, even in a normative sense. So to have somebody like Ben Shapiro, who is as I don't even know what to call him, like fucking like there's so much things you could call him, like evil, a troll, like ugly, like fuck, like he just everything. He just every negative connotation in the world. But this dude doing all that to stoke genocide and white nationalism, you know what I'm saying, in this age of YouTube commentary, made this new right-wing wave popular. It made it popular. You know what I'm saying? And as we're getting to all right, and that's just one of these events. And that's just one of these events, right? I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro trying to explain what memes are is about to give me a hernia. Yeah, this is fucking bad looking bad. For real, Lewis, he speaks as bad as AI is. Okay, that sounds like a Dark Souls boss. Dark Souls boss. Holy shit. But then PewDiePie turned around and worked with wait. No, I want to talk about the public backlash and the spectacle first. So the public backlash and the spectacle, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people came out and just started defending these covert actions. You know what I mean? Like, oh, just this little guy with right-leaning views. PewDiePie is collabing with him. There's no major or bigger conversation or connotation to Ben Shapiro's platform or to what this person is doing. And one of these people was No Bullshit on YouTube.
Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about the biggest YouTuber ever, PewDiePie, who has recently been under fire from leftists once again. Pood has been attacked for his edgy humor before, and for the fact that he doesn't cave in to leftists or cater to SJWs, like how the Democrats think he should be doing. Yes, PewDiePie has been our guy for a long while now, and well, this week, he has proven once again that there's still a place for controversial comedy and for right-wingers and conservative-leaning people on YouTube. And what was PewDiePie's crime this time? And just what is it that has all the liberals coming after him again? Well, unlike last time where some might have had grounds for an actual beef when PewDiePie slipped up and said the N-word on his show live, this time, no. The outrage is even more ridiculous because all PewDiePie did was have a conservative-leaning guest on his show, Ben Shapiro.
You see what I mean? And then you getting 400,000 views on a 500k platform. If PewDiePie triggers, I don't know what triggers them anymore. Marvel's Infinity War is the biggest crossover. PewDiePie, hold my beer. Don't say that. PewDiePie does the editing. That's our Princess Brad. Ben Shapiro is a really mild-mannered, middle-of-the-road conservative. He doesn't say anything outlandish at all. He doesn't even like Trump. I don't understand why he gets so much hate. You see what I mean? And then in a normative sense, these same ideas are kind of met in a public zeitgeist, and that leads to like a person like Trump or Elon Musk also being uplifted by proxy. And that's what I want to talk about. PewDiePie then turned around and worked with Elon Musk. And Elon Musk at this time like had a soft power with rockets. You know what I'm saying? He was like the rocket boy. He was like, we're sending us all to Mars. We're doing X and X because like, you know, the universe and I mean, the space race has a lot of soft power in U.S. nationalism inherently, you know, and Elon Musk had to wield that to his advantage in that way by making himself seem like this genius billionaire. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to the... I got a clip about this.
About a year ago,
and a lot of
Elon
people
Musk was
in this
sitting in
meme era would hop on Elon Musk's goose, like hop on Elon Musk's cock in balls. Like, it was wild. It was wild. I found like a whole bunch of these clips.
About a year ago, Elon Musk
at like 28 million views. You know what I'm saying? 1.3 million likes. 28 million views, 1.3 million likes. You know what I'm saying? That's doing a lot of power for somebody that's potentially in the future going to run for office. But let me play this.
About a year ago, Elon Musk was sitting in traffic in Los Angeles and thought about how cool it would be if he built a tunnel under the city. So he built a tunnel under the city, and then he started selling hats for his tunnel. 50,000 hats later, he got bored with hats and switched the hats out for flamethrowers. He sold 20,000 of those, and then 5 days later, he tied his car up to the most powerful rocket ever made and shot it into fucking space. And then the rocket fucking landed itself.
You see what I mean? Like, everybody is buying into Elon Musk's soft power. Everybody's buying into Elon Musk's soft power when all he does is gets contract for like US budgeting. Like, if you know what Elon Musk actually does in the government is he gets defense bills, right? He makes Starlink a surveillance system for the US government, which is why he gets billions and billions and billions of dollars in fund. You know what I'm saying? We live in a new world where satellites and that means of digital, I guess, monitoring is very useful for a government. So Elon Musk launching satellites and launching Starlink in a way which would monitor like a lot of countries that the US is directly involved with. It's very profitable. But then Elon Musk turns around and sells this idea of him being like this guy who builds tunnels, this guy who just does like weird and zany stuff. You know what I mean? On the internet. And he's been doing that since the era of Pewdiepie. Since the era of Pewdiepie, he's been endorsing himself in meme reviews, throwing himself in there, engaging with this community of boys who looks up to him as some type of father figure or some type of millionaire figure or entrepreneurial means of relation that they can attain at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying this is where things inherently go wrong. And Christian had a really good TikTok take about this. And I'm going to play this real quick, then have my little rebuttal before I talk to the audience. Christian, shout out Christian Divine, good friend of the channel. Oh my God. Stop giving me notifications.
I've been to the rodeo and the way that grown men ride Elon Musk would force a... I've been to the rodeo and the way that grown men ride Elon Musk would force a seasoned bullet to retirement. It's how I know that if I put Snake Oil on the market right now on a seller, you see, he is the perfect example of the American mythos surrounding the successful man, someone whose hard work, ingenuity, and just a little bit of luck propelled him to the top. When the truth about apartheid Thomas Edison is that he's always had the wealth to drain the resources from others and fail upwards, because if me or you lost $200 billion in a month, we, much like your friends who just opened up their relationship, would be on our very last thread. Now, a lot of Elon Musk value is speculative, by which I mean it is held up in Tesla's stock value, his ownership of those shares, which between 2020 and 2022 skyrocketed from around $41 to $400+, making him the richest man in the world, and had everyone polishing his knob like Miss B Nasty on a work night for just a little bit of advice on how to get that rich. It is why his ownership of Twitter is so necessary, because he needs that. His success is directly tied to his public perception of him as a genius, because when you really stop to look into it, he does not make business plans, he is not an engineer, he is not a scientist, he is someone who is consistently bought his way into successful companies, drained the resource of his workers, worked people to death, and then claimed the right to that knowledge and claimed it as his own genius. It's why he cozies himself up to leaders like Donald Trump, because SpaceX's entire value is not in the potential colonization of Mars, it is in its defense contracts for the US military. Ultimately, Elon Musk is a billionaire pushing merch on social media because that perception of him is what keeps his value as high as it is. That dude's gonna have the year of the president.
Yeah, so exactly what he's saying with relation to spectacle. Like when we talked about it all the way back, when we were talking about like Germany, you know, at the beginning of the stream, and we are talking about how they were using Senegalese troops in the Rhineland to basically purposely stoke an age an air of white nationalism. You know what I'm saying? In this new day and age, Elon Musk uses the internet, I guess, as a tool, or the internet's means of memeable relatability in these circles of men in order to garnish like as much traction as possible. And one of the biggest events in the turning of Elon Musk's soft power was his meme review directly with PewDiePie. Him and Elon Musk have worked time and time again together. And I gotta put up this video of them. I found a video of them where they working together. Because PewDiePie's actually known Elon Musk for quite some time, if y'all don't know. PewDiePie's known Elon Musk for a while.
We've got passion, we've got determination. Like, and if we set our sights on something,
God.
you better believe it's
I'm so sorry for subjecting you guys to ads.
I got a question for you.
Started off with
Okay.
I got a question for you. What? Don't look so excited. What was it like?
I just hate those questions. Any question that doesn't come
Scott, he hates your questions. What was it like
I
working
pee.
with Elon Musk?
Okay, I'm staying.
And was there a direct line of contact, or like how did that?
So it started off with indirect contact. I don't remember exactly how.
Because he posted that thing on Twitter.
Oh, it's really
right?
weird. I actually know one of the people he worked with. It's really strange contact, but I still had that contact, and then somehow we got around that. Oh yeah, Elon tweeted that he wanted to do meme review.
Yeah, with the flamethrower.
And that was before me.
It was the Uzi, the minigun. He had a minigun. You took a photo of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was a minigun or Gatling gun or whatever.
Gatling,
I don't know what it's called. And I was like, what is happening? Because I've never heard anything from anyone. And I'm like, does he know what meme review is? Like, it was just confusing as shit. But then I tried to get in contact, and then I realized, oh yeah, I can just email this person. So we went back and forth, and then after a while, we just talked in DM directly. And Elon was sending me a couple memes as well, and they were so offensive. Not like offensive bad, but I'm like, dude, Elon, this is going on YouTube.
In your current situation.
Kind of like the dolphin level, the dolphin level meme.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, Jesus Christ.
Wait, how did James Rowland come into the picture?
He like
James Rowland did it with him.
Yeah, I can explain the.
So when we're talking about Elon Musk's soft power specifically, big Elon Musk in the year 2025, he's bought Twitter. Right, he has a monopoly, basically on the on algorithm itself, in terms of media too. He's literally situated as a place in the governor. But for him to, I guess, come about this, he needed a sort of popularity because Elon Musk was not elected. Elon Musk was not elected, right? But he had the power to garnish the influence to get other people elected. You know what I mean? That was his role in the Trump cabinet. That was his role in that presidential race. Stoking sentiment. Have you heard that phrase before the election where Donald Trump was like, oh, the black Haitians are eating cats, they're eating dogs, you know what I mean? That was a very real way to stoke white nationalism, to go after immigrants. That's a good way to introduce ICE, to go after people like that. But Elon Musk, in a stature of influence, or in a stature of soft power, you could say, was very pivotal to this, because as he got on Meme Review, as he got on all these other channels, and PewDiePie started popularizing him, what he was doing by proxy was popularizing the ideas or the new age of a certain type of nationalism that Elon Musk would embody and parrot at the forefront. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm saying PewDiePie was the first neo-Nazi, that might not be inherently true, but in context to internet fame, PewDiePie was the biggest one. You know what I'm saying? There was other people, definitely. There was H3, there was Filthy Frank, there was all these other people. It was bad, but PewDiePie here really fucked up, and I'm gonna keep playing this
thing. But
Justin, why'd I say
Justin?
Not
Roiland.
even Roland. Justin Roiland.
I'm retarded
James
in the
Roland.
brain. Sorry, Justin Rowland.
Well, the thing is, like,
Roiland, whatever.
I really look up to Elon Musk. He's probably one of the few people alive that I really
In
look
what
up
aspect?
to.
For his memes?
He's a genius.
Or because he's a genius?
I think he's doing a lot of good for humanity.
Okay, true.
Yeah, I think he's
For his memes.
For his memes as well. I deeply respect for him.
We gonna find out who Justin Rowland is. We gonna find out who. Wait, Elon. He was talking about Elon Musk. Never mind, not Justin Rowland. Anyways, moving on. I got a couple different people I have like looped into this in my notes, right? So Germany isn't the only bad extraction, city. I mean, extraction state. And state is what I'm referring to in extends to a state is basically a collection or a government that oversees a group of people, whether they're middle class citizens, and Germany is not the only bad extraction state, like inherently colonist extraction state. America, Britain, you can name a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? They just get like a lot of a brunt of the political hatred. And let's talk about the tools of racism and how the inflation of like these like funny talking points can lead to like Trump and ICE as like needed conditions in the mind of a public. You know what I mean? In a postmodern society. I gotta pull this up. If y'all don't know who Nick Fuentes is, he's this man on the internet too who wields like a scary degree of power against minorities and people like that. And I would say he is one of the borderline definitions of a neo-Nazi. And he and a lot of people around him stoked sentiments here. In August 2017, individuals from at least 35 states across the U.S. converged into Charlottesville, Virginia, to protest the planned removal of a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Who's Robert E. Lee, guys? Robert E. Lee was this Confederate general who basically fought to keep the slaves. Like his whole philosophy was basically the idea of, I have no qualms with racism, but he acted in the system anyway. He bought and traded slaves. He even killed some of them. He did a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So this Confederate general, you know what I'm saying, being memorialized because he was one of the biggest ones. He was one of the biggest ones leading the Confederation. Is a point of white nationalism because it solidifies a time, or it reminds people of a time, especially in the South, where the South was way more for white people. You know what I'm saying? And I won't say that the conditions in the South aren't still disparaging nowadays, because anti-blackness and systematic racism have done a number. But this Confederate General Robert E. Lee, in the age of 2018, basically a bunch of protesters and people around were trying to, I guess, get rid of these statues and everything. And a lot of people banded around the Confederate statue with Robert E. Lee for those same reasons. A lot of online white supremacists. And this is where PewDiePie kind of seeks back a little bit in the timeline. You know what I'm saying? Because now these men who are radicalized online through these meme reviews, through people like Elon Musk, Ben Shapiro, and all that, they're coming into these same spaces, and they're absorbing all these ideas. And now they're doing an anti-rally. Chants of Jews will not replace us in blood and soil. A Nazi slogan rose in the air. Violence flared. And by the time the Unite the Right rally ended, a counter-protester was killed after a neo-Nazi behind the wheel of a car slammed into a crowd, and an act of terror that killed dozens. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Donald Trump hopping on his damn interview pedestal and being like, you know what? Charlottesville, there was God and good people on both sides. Y'all remember that? So basically what I'm saying is, around this degree of commentary or normalcy online, there's 4 big talking points here, right? White supremacy, racial cleansing, authoritarianism. But the 4th one I also want to talk about is, I guess, eugenics and a MGTOW movement in a new age of the internet. When 2020 happened, where were y'all? When 2020 happened, where were y'all? He was the president of the Confederation. Yeah, more like Nick Stupentas. Yeah. Well, what do y'all know? What do y'all know about it? I need to read the chat. I need to read the comics. What do y'all know about 2020? 2020 COVID era. Fuck, I was in my room just creating video after video after video after video on TikTok. But this was an age where a lot of people, I guess, because of a restriction of third spaces, were on their phones. A lot of people were on the internet. A lot of people were doing XYZ on the internet. And what popped up in this age of the internet was basically this kind of mimicry of a Gamergate. This same utilization of men's third spaces, but inherently it was more so against women. In 2020, I was in middle school. Oh no.
I have a dream.
Oh no, middle school? He was in middle school. Holy hell. Someone had COVID. Sorry, I blacked out during it. The George Floyd protest. Yeah. I remember the George Floyd protest. A bunch of them went on in Canada too. By the way, it's nice to see everybody on here. I see 5 people in the Twitch chat. I see 130 people in the YouTube chat. Holy. Yeah, that's a new goal, that's a new record, by the way. So say yay, guys. Like, say this is a new record. This is honestly a new record. And by the way, for everybody that dipping in and out, this whole stream will be posted on my damn side channel, so make sure to look out for that. Same with the other streams and everything, and these other streams coming up. But yeah, as we're looking at the 2020 era and basically how Third Spaces online became more I guess open to the public, because everybody was on their phones and everybody was, I guess, connecting in this sort of way. You know what really blew up? Reddit pages, TikTok pages, Instagram short form content. TikTok really blew up in this era. You know what I'm saying? And with those came, somebody followed. Thank you, Zara, for following. Thank you, Zara, for following the Twitch and everything. Thank everybody. But yeah, as these spaces, became more and more, I guess, open to a public and more thriving, what these spaces started to leech on is this basically the spectacle of this connectivity between these men. You know what I mean? A lot of these men were very, 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 whatchamacallit, like sexually frustrated, like fuckless, like thoughtless, like basically it's a lot of men online who just had really bad ideations about a certain type of woman. You know what I mean? And I won't even lie to y'all. I was half interacting in these spaces too. This was before TikTok and all that and everything, right? When I was in uni, and I was trying to find people online to bring me comfort and shit, because I was lonely. As hell. The only place I could go, I couldn't even go anywhere outside. Like, I went on jogs around my neighborhood, really. That was really it. I didn't really hang with people, but yeah. Thank you for following, Cyberboy. Thank you for following, Solly Boy.
I have a dream.
That's why you're the GOAT. Someone said incel scared of women. Yeah. But as these spaces, I guess we're developing, and being pushed into broader zeitgeist, this degree of normalcy kicked up a notch by 100%. You know what I'm saying? With as much as spectacles like the George Floyd movement made its way across America, and basically things like the Black Lives Matter protests and everything, there was a huge wave of backlash against that, and that backlash or that wave was felt with a lot of white people and people outside of it who were just uncomfortable with the movement. You know what I'm saying? People didn't really understand what the BLM movement was about in Precipice. They just knew that they were standing up with black people, which is a noble cause, which is noble. And I'm not blaming anybody for that. But the BLM movement specifically, and the conversation of civil rights for black people inherently, for this whole time has just been a fight against systematic racism, right? And as we're charting this back, even to the ideations of the KKK and how the second KKK branch brought up in the age of the civil rights, the KKK branch leached off of this idea of white society being attacked because black people were getting rights in the Jim Crow era. You know what I'm saying? So there is a lot of these regressions in tandem with activism. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people can't absorb the necessary information that it may be, specifically through a curated protest all the time. You know what I mean? I'm not hating on protests, but I'm saying all the time, you need more of a backing of why you're going to the protest, or what systematic harm is this going to change? What is X and X going to do? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people were like, oh, well, the idea of white identity is being attacked. You know what I mean? The idea of these men are all being attacked. You know what I'm saying? And it's easier to interact in these spaces when you're anonymous. All these men were anonymous. Thank you, Sophia Gore. Holy, I got so much people following today. But yeah, so much of these men's faces were anonymous, and that gave them a degree of comfort inside of white supremacy, inside of their talking points, inside of all of this. You know what I'm saying? They were free to explore conversation as they wish. And because spaces like 4chan and Reddit were like less moderated, especially the incel board and like mods at that point, you had this very, very, very radicalized degree of men who came out of this hating women with specific groups like incels. leeching on basically eugenicist thought patterns and normalities in order to, I guess, better themselves, when these same thought processes of eugenics have existed since, like, you know, the same way they were trying to categorize the Catholic immigrants, the same way they were trying to categorize black people in the civil rights movement, the same way they were trying to do all this. Someone said, I think there was also a resurgence in ableism / devaluing disabled people with the big rise of anti-vax stuff in 2020, which definitely plays a big role in neo-Nazi ideology too. Yes, you're completely right. When we were talking about the vaccine, I had a lot of women who were nurses, a lot of Filipino nurses I'm really thankful for, who are good friends of mine, who are going through all that up in Edmonton when the crisis has hit really hard. You know what I'm saying? The number one complaint that they made was basically they weren't getting enough supplies from the government. You know what I'm saying? But all the news outlets would have you believe that it was the fault of the people, or it was the fault of bad actors, or the COVID crisis wasn't really a thing, or meanwhile you had the nurses freaking the fuck out while they were doing their practicums. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you had people dying in the hundreds of thousands in the States. You had people, like, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm saying these covert talking points and these I guess normalizations or bastardizations of third spaces happen, essentially that's what you get. You get a politically charged climate like this, where white nationalism is on a rise, and things like ICE are able to be utilized with little to no I guess I won't say little to no backlash from society, because there is a lot of backlash, but I'll say ICE will be launched, and there could still be positive PR marketing of ICE as a police institution because of white nationalism. You know what I mean? When Donald Trump could be like, oh, we're just deporting immigrants, you know, in his posts on Truth Social and Twitter, and Elon Musk could do that shit too and like ride off of it. So this is where like the spectacle really divulges. Can we get some hmms in the chat? Can we get some hmms in the chat? It was nice seeing y'all today. Like,